we are a transmitter, but we also like want to hear stuff from people. We're also a receiver because we're the SSO. And so we would love to see like a GitHub or an AWS or something like that get on board with shared signals so that we can tell them, hey, something about the posture of this device changed. And we don't know what your customer's policy is, but we can tell you what changed so that your customer can write policy around that in the RP itself.
I think a lot of people are still figuring out how to make this work. What does this mean in the real world when we start talking about shared signals and communication between apps? You mentioned a couple examples there, but for people who just haven't kind of gotten their heads around, can you walk me through just a very basic scenario and kind of maybe hopefully make this real for people to help them understand kind of the art of the possible? Because I think we're still heading that direction. We're not quite there yet.
Yeah, sure. So we might see a CrowdStrike score that suddenly drops. And so we know that there's something about that machine that may have been compromised. And so we get that message from CrowdStrike saying, hey, this machine just went from a 99 to a 50. And you can write policy within Beyond Identity that says, hey, if this score drops below 60, they can park, they can buy things in the cafeteria, but they can't get to the HR systems. They can't get to the databases. Or like, we don't want to see them at all. We want to suspend them and have someone from our SOC actually look at what's going on with that machine before we reinstate this account. Right. So those are the kinds of use cases that shared signals enables between security vendors and IDPs. And then between IDPs and relying parties, we would love to see something like, so GitHub today has like sudo actions of like, hey, I want to delete this production repo, or I want to add an admin to this production repo. And they can do step-up authentication for those things. But that's a very coarse tool. Right. So you as a customer can say is, yes, I want to step up when this happens, but there's no more fine-grained policy you can write around that. Whereas if we had shared signals in place, we could send all sorts of signals about what's happening with that machine, what's happening with that account, what's happening with that user. Maybe they just recovered their account in a way that's a little bit sketchy. And GitHub might want to do something with that is more interesting than just re-authenticating.
Before Jeff asked that follow-up, I wanted to make the comment that, one of the things that, you've brought it up a few times where you're kind of wanting these things to be open standards. You're supporting the open standards. So I just wanted to say good on you for that.